part. How we doing today, family? All right. Come on, y'all. Y'all ain't gotta act shy in the presence of family. Talk back to me. Talk black to me. How we doing today, mighty black people? It would be a grave disservice if I didn't thank the mighty black man himself, Murdock, for collaborating with me yet again on this black-tastic effort. It would be a disservice if I didn't thank the mighty black women involved in making this effort as black-tastic as it is today. We got the polished lady in the building, the mighty black woman herself, Tamise, the eloquent Lashate, and the powerful Tamisha, Tierra, and Isha. Ain't it just something special about a black woman? Yes, sir. Nothing on this earth is more divine than a black woman. They're the most essential component to black civilization. Their beautiful, unique qualities and graces are unmatched. The black woman is the most precious and virtuous gift on this earth. They all that and the black-tastic bag of chips. If you ever want to know the condition of a group of people, then look at how the women are treated. And before I forget, give yourselves a mighty black hand for pulling up at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. Some of y'all just got off work. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm fresh off the clock. Look at your other neighbor and say, I just got off the clock. When Murdock and I eventually settled on the name Black Liberation Lecture Series, I was excited because we as a people need to be liberated from so much. The word liberation is the act of setting someone free from oppression, imprisonment, or any type of bondage. A release from any type of pain or suffering. We must think critically about our ancestors, the ones who came before us, not only knowing what they did, but study and apply their efforts and contributions to the present to solve our issues as black people today. Once this way of thinking is adopted and applied, this new approach will improve us spiritually, mentally, socially, politically, physically, and economically. We can start off small, take some baby steps. It ain't gonna happen overnight. For example, we need to demolish law enforcement and come up with a new way of protecting and governing our people. You think an organization that started off as African slave catchers or black slave hunters gonna have black folks' best interest at heart? But before we do that, we gotta start off small. Take some baby steps. Let's start off small by demolishing AES first, because my last energy bill didn't make no type of sense. Raise your hand if your AES bill last month was excessively high. It don't make no sense. I live in a one-bedroom apartment by myself, just me and my 200 books. I don't even read my books. I read my books outside, no lights on, no nothing. Look at your neighbor and say, they're getting over on the people. So how can we start off small? Baby steps. When it comes to thinking critically about new methods, new tactics, new approaches to improve our overall quality of life. Self-preservation, self-reliancy, and self-sufficiency as black people. We can start off small by ending the celebration of these Eurocentric and regressive holidays. Celebrating these anti-black and white holidays goes against your black-tastic mind, body, and spirit. Everybody want to end white supremacy until holidays come around. You think it's a coincidence that almost every month on the American calendar, there's a holiday deemed worthy of so-called celebration? And how do you celebrate a holiday? By spending money you ain't got. Using a firm, afterpay, and layaway. Half of us in here work 2 jobs and got a side hustle. You get out your first job 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., then do DoorDash, Instacart, Uber, or place a parlay on one of these sports betting websites just to make it to your next paycheck. But they tricked you into believing you have to squander your hard-earned black dollars, waste your valuable black time and labor to pay for their holidays. We must always study the history of a thing to understand what it is today. The great liberator Frederick Douglass said it best. From what I know of the effect of these holidays upon the slave, I believe them to be amongst the most effective means in the hands of the slaveholder in keeping down the spirit of insurrection. White American holidays are a distraction to what's really going on in the world. During slavery, the only holidays enslaved Africans, our ancestors, could participate in, if they were lucky, was Christmas and New Year's. Our ancestors, our family members from back in the day, were living in inhumane and deplorable conditions, not even considered human beings in the eyes of white American law. To this day, we are only human beings because of the 13th Amendment. Words on a piece of paper that can be reneged and retracted at any given moment. It was illegal for our people to read and write. Majority were separated from their families. Didn't know their native lands, native tongue, family history, cultural mores, foreways, social norms. Didn't even know if they was going to make it to see another day. But hold on now. On Christmas and New Year's, they got a little break from their oppression. They got to put a little smile on their face to escape reality. With all the social chaos and destruction we see today, internationally, we see devilish Zionism, Israel's persecution against the innocent Palestinians, Israel, those devils, slaughtering the innocent Palestinians in droves. African countries, our people, like Sudan, Congo, Kenya, and other African countries being exploited for land, resources, and labor. That's how capitalism, the American government, and colonial powers exploit black or African people here in America. All people of the African genotype across the world living in innumerable geographical locations are being exploited for land, resources, and labor. Our brothers and sisters in Haiti, still catching hell from the French and American forces because they fought the French and white America for their human rights, for their liberation in 1804. Why do you think Haiti is so poor today? It's not by coincidence. It's by meticulous and intricate design. The Haitian Revolution, which was the first time in history of slave rebellion, led to the formation of an all-black nation. The Haitians are still paying physically and financially to the French and white America simply for fighting the French and white America for their freedom. We see the masses of black folks or African Americans facing financial hardships today due to how inflation is hitting us. The landlords of these apartment complexes expect us to make 3 times the rent for an overpriced apartment. Then they get upset when we get on the phone with our cousin trying to act like we work for them so we can get approved for the apartment. You act like I ain't never did it before. If my mama y'all too bougie, I'm by myself. They probably gonna call you. You gotta say this and that. Woo, split it off like this. It's stuff out here. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Realistic, very realistic.
We facing inflation and spending all this money to celebrate their holidays to ease our mind, having to choose between overtly racist Donald Trump and covertly racist Joe Biden. But don't worry, it's all good. What Kendrick Lamar say? We gonna be all right. Because the 4th of July right around the corner. Christmas only a few months away. Thanksgiving right around the block. To keep us compliant with our oppression, give us faulty and empty optimism, put a smile on our face and a frown on our pockets. Christmas is the worst out of all of them. I saw some of y'all shuffling y'all seats. Can I put y'all on something? Can I put y'all on something? I gotta stand up for this one. Get the podium for this one. Get the podium. State the mighty black woman and the mighty black brother. Give them a mighty black hand. Give them a mighty black hand. Look at that ethno-aggregation and unity. I didn't think the podium would be this tall. Apologies. I am vertically challenged. Vertically challenged. Christmas is not even mentioned in the biblical context, not once. Take your Bible app out and search Christmas. 0 results. Why do they still today depict Jesus as a melanin deficient being with lights and no rhythm when they know he had to be a brother with more soul and melanin than a Kendrick Lamar album? Why you got your child sitting on a random man's lap? Excuse me, my apologies. Not a stranger's lap, Santa Claus lap. You got your child sitting on Santa Claus' lap in the middle of a mall, telling a complete stranger all your personal business. What happened to stranger danger? I thought we teach some kids not to talk to strangers. And I know kids gonna tell it all. They ain't holding nothing back. You working 2 jobs, 2 credit cards, and door dashing to give your child the best Christmas ever. It's the most wonderful time of the year. For who? White folks? They exploit us for our hard-earned black dollars and labor. Then you give credit to an obese, melanin-deficient white man for all your hard black work and contributions. Santa got you them shoes. Santa got you that new jacket. Santa bought you that toy. What? Santa dropped all this off to the crib? When Santa get a house key? With no chimney. We can't even afford rent. How we gonna drop some bread on the chimney? That sounds like breaking and entering to me. That's pushing your child to believe in the white savior complex. The only white people can save, help provide for, and liberate black people. That's why so many of us today depend on white solutions for black problems. Got the kids going on the Easter egg hunt. Saying the Easter bunny gonna lay some eggs for the kids. What's another word for a bunny?
A rabbit.
Come on, y'all done seen Looney Tunes. What's Bugs Bunny? What kind of animal is he? A rabbit. How a bunny or a rabbit gonna lay some eggs for the kids when rabbits can't even physically lay eggs? Don't make no type of sense. Them white folks want you to spend all that money on their candy. Fattening ain't pockets. If you're gonna give me a lie, you gotta give me a better lie than that. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving ain't nothing but a highlight reel of white folks killing non-white individuals for the forceful acquisition of land and resources. Black or African people were still enslaved during the first Thanksgiving. The Pilgrims slaughtered the indigenous people in droves. It was called the Trail of Tears. What did we have to be thankful for during the first Thanksgiving? White domination over black folks? Spending all your hard-earned black dollars on a turkey that you're going to choke on because your auntie was trying a new recipe that day. Look at your neighbor and say, get auntie out the kitchen. Black folk ain't got no business celebrating the 4th of July. The founding fathers of this country said, give me liberty or give me death against British oppression. The founding fathers of the so-called American dream for white folks, but a hell of a nightmare for black folks. One of the founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, who drafted the Declaration of Independence, spoke eloquent and passionate words such as life and liberty in the pursuit of happiness, while at the same time owning and selling enslaved Africans. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, who said all men are created equal, James Madison, and other founding fathers who owned slaves, claimed the 4th of July as being the most patriotic and glorious day in history. What's so glorious about it? Our ancestors were enslaved during the first 4th of July. We ain't getting no independence. We got chattel slavery, epigenetics, eugenics, black codes, the war on drugs, medical experimentation and malpractice, the crack era, redlining, Jim Crow, and innumerable other racial caste systems. The sooner we think and act critically about these white holidays, the closer we get to black liberation, family. On the spiritual side, let's get serious here. I know I've been cracking jokes. Let's get serious. Racial caste systems have sadly caused some of our people to be inflicted with a disease, an ailment that's more infectious than a common cold. This disease has hindered some of our people from spiritual and internal liberation, since your internal well-being subsequently affects your external well-being and actions. This disease has caused many of our people to no longer have the inclination to pick up the fighting spirit our ancestors had. They become so passive, accepting, and wanting to assimilate and integrate rather than be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and have self-preservation as a people. Since every group of people has its own wants, needs, interests, and concerns. This disease that I'm describing is coonery. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to act like y'all know what coonery too. Ain't no wrong with it. Hey, some of y'all done had y'all years of coonery. It's going to be all right. You see, it's not a disgrace to once have been a coon. It's a disgrace to remain a coon. Malcolm Little had his years of coonery before he became Malcolm X. You see, a coon is any black or African individual who goes against the progression or betterment of their own people. or focuses on the best interest of non-black people before their own people who have been suffering for centuries. Supreme Court Justice Member Clarence Thomas. Coon. The Mayor of New York, Eric Adams. Coon. DJ Academics. Coon. Herschel Walker.
Coon.
Chris Rock.
Coon.
Candace Owens.
Coon.
Any black man or woman who supports Donald Trump because he gave us a stimulus check instead of reparations.
Coon.
Doja Cat.
Coon.
Having the crabs in a barrel mentality.
Coon.
Any black man or woman who reports or snitches on the good black people. The freedom fighters who sell me EBT card and food stamps so I can save a little something on my grocery bill. You snitching on the EBT card sellers? Cool. All skin folk ain't kin folk. Everybody can't come to the promised land. If you can tell the difference between a fork, a knife, and a spoon, then you can tell the difference between being black and being a coon.
Yes.
We need to think critically and bring an immediate cease to all forms of coonery. We need to regain and re-strengthen our sense of community. Like I always say, it doesn't take a thorough historical observation. The most minimal historical observation proves with complete and utter certainty that we have always thrived as a people when our sense of community was intact. We were locked in when it came to black power. Because we don't need black recognition. We don't need black representation in white spaces. We need black power. Owning, operating, controlling our own businesses, schools, banks, stores, programs, provided services, trades, and other efforts. Ancient African civilizations, dynasties, kingdoms, and queendoms, because the sisters was out here running things too, which helped shape, build, and teach the modern world today. Everybody liked to talk about Black Wall Street, but we had a grand sense of Black Wall Street across the nation in almost every state. But we need to pinpoint how we lost our sense of community and were taught to have an individualistic mindset. How we adopted these maladaptive and dysfunctional behaviors. So we can understand why some of us have fallen victim to the crabs in the barrel mentality. Like I said earlier, chattel slavery, black codes, Jim Crow, epigenics, the war on drugs, the crack era, the wealth gap, highways, menticide, mass incarceration, medical experimentation and malpractice, lynchings, black women dying disproportionately in hospitals while giving birth, black men being emasculated for centuries. After all this has been forced upon our people on an international global aspect for centuries, you don't expect us to be divided and face discord to some degree? We need a new approach, a new appraisal, new ideas, new methods, and new coordinated plans of action. We can't depend on the government and forces who caused our problems in play to do right by us when they have a history of never doing so. The freedom fighter, the mighty black woman, Ashana Shakur said, nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. Malcolm X, revolutions are never based upon negotiations. Revolutions are never based upon any kind of tokenism whatsoever. Revolutions are never based upon that which is begging a corrupt society or corrupt system to accept us into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Some of y'all so-called activists and community leaders are a grave disservice to your own people. Y'all too nice. Quick to shake hands with the people causing our plight and frustrations as black people for a good picture and social media post. Shaking hands with politicians and delegates who dance offbeat to popular black songs. Shake hands with a few black folks. Go on a Black Baptist Church tour just to get the black vote. Then they act like they ain't never heard of black folk once they get in office. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we do. You ain't standing on business because activism ain't nice. You gotta get mean. You gotta get tough. Make some white folks and coons uncomfortable. We need to stop depending on these white-controlled, operated, and facilitated schools, educational programs, and other white efforts to educate your black child. Based off history, would you expect a Nazi to properly educate a Jew? Israel to properly educate the Palestinians? Russia to properly educate Ukraine? So why are you expecting white educational institutions and programs to properly educate your black child? I don't have any children myself. Hopefully I will one day in the future. But I spend a lot of my time at schools and community centers. These young black boys and girls are encouraged to be illiterate. They can't read and write. And if they can, they can't do it to the appropriate academic level for their age. I've seen 10-year-olds who can't properly add and subtract, being pushed to the next grade because the school doesn't want to hurt their feelings, or because the school wants to make their numbers look good. They set them up for failure. 16-year-old 7th graders. 16-year-old 7th graders whose vocabulary, vernacular, and daily word choice in their daily speech will make you think they in 4th grade, but the young brother growing a mustache so you can tell he about to get his driver's license or something. You got time to check the shade room. Oh. You got time to check Zeus Network, Baddies, Bad Boys Club, Real Housewives of Atlanta. But you ain't got time to teach your black child these new methods to liberate the people. You ain't missed a hoop session in years. You at the gym every weekend. You on your game playing your PS5 and you got an Xbox. Designer shoes from designer brands, the same racist brands that done called you all type of niggas. But you ain't got time to teach your black child about liberation. Somebody look at your black-tastic neighbor and say, get your problem raised. Look at your other neighbor and say, the ancestors are disobedient. In conclusion, for these new approaches and methods to reach liberation, you can check out my Black-tastic non-self board game, my novel, my online book club, my self-published novel, clothing, the work I do at the Ross Center right on Post Road, the heart of the city, east side, the best side. My clothing, my upcoming event next month, an event that ain't never been done before. We got everything, all that in the Black-tastic bag of chips. It's gonna change the game. Chairman Fred Hampton quoted Minister of Defense Huey P. Newton by saying, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in the desired manner. As soon as we begin to think, then subsequently act critically about what's afflicting our people, we'll reach our black utopia and flourish. That's all I got due to time. Y'all have a black-tastic day.